The words hit me like a fist to the chest, stealing the air from the room. My ex was better in bed, Sarah spat, her voice sharp with venom. At least he knew what he was doing. Her sneer lingered, a blade glinting in the dim light of our bedroom, slicing through 8 years of marriage in one breath. I stood frozen, my hand still on the tie I'd been loosening, the silk slipping through my fingers like the life I thought I knew. The argument had started small, as they always did. A forgotten anniversary dinner, my late nights at the office, her clipped responses over breakfast. But this was a grenade lobbed into the quiet of our suburban home, the kind of truth that doesn't just wound, it obliterates. I stared at her, searching for the woman I'd vowed to love, but her eyes were cold, distant, like a stranger's. Did you just say that? My voice cracked, betraying the storm brewing inside. My heart pounded, a frantic drumbeat against my ribs. She didn't flinch, just folded her arms, her lips curling into something cruel, almost defiant. You heard me, Mark, she said, her tone flat now, like she'd already decided the conversation was over. I'm tired of pretending. Pretending. The word echoed in my skull, a ghost whispering doubts I'd buried for years. The late-night texts she'd dismissed as work stuff. The way she'd linger in the bathroom, phone in hand, the door locked. The perfume she'd started wearing, sharp and unfamiliar, when she'd never cared for scents before. I told myself it was nothing, stress maybe, or her new job at the gallery. But now, standing in the wreckage of her words, I saw the cracks I'd ignored. I turned away, my legs heavy, and sank onto the edge of the bed. The room felt too small, the air thick with the scent of her lavender candles, now cloying, suffocating. Who is he? I asked, barely above a whisper, afraid of the answer but needing it all the same. Sarah laughed, a short, bitter sound that cut deeper than her words. Does it matter? She stepped closer, her shadow falling over me. You've been checked out for years, Mark. Don't act like this is all on me. Her accusation stung, a half-truth twisted into a weapon. Yes, I'd been distant, swallowed by deadlines, by the grind of providing for a life she'd wanted. The house with the wraparound porch, the vacations to Santorini, the diamond earring she wore even now, glinting in the lamplight. But I'd loved her. God, I'd loved her. Wasn't that enough? I stood, needing to move, to escape the weight of her gaze. The hardwood creaked under my feet as I crossed to the window, staring out at the quiet street. The neighbor's sprinklers hissed in the dark, a mundane rhythm against the chaos in my chest. Tell me, I said, my voice steadier now, though my hands trembled. Tell me who he is. She hesitated, and in that pause, I felt the truth creeping closer, a shadow stretching long across the floor. It's not what you think, she said finally, her voice softer, almost pleading. It's not someone new. Not someone new. The words landed like a stone in my gut. My mind raced, flipping through memories like a deck of cards, searching for the face I'd missed. Her ex. The one she'd dated before me. The one she'd called a mistake when we met. Ryan. The name surfaced like bile, bitter and burning. Ryan. I turned to face her, my voice low, dangerous. Her silence was answer enough. Her eyes flicked to the floor, and I saw it. The guilt she couldn't hide, the truth she'd let slip in her anger. I wanted to scream, to shatter the perfect life we'd built, but all I could do was laugh, a hollow, broken sound. You're still talking to him? My voice rose, cracking like ice. After all this time? After everything? It's not like that, she said quickly, stepping toward me, her hands raised as if to calm a wild animal. We just reconnected. At the gallery opening last month. It wasn't planned. Reconnected. The word was a lie dressed in silk, smooth and deliberate. I remembered that night, her in a black dress, laughing with strangers, while I stood awkwardly with a glass of wine I didn't drink. She'd been radiant, alive in a way I hadn't seen in years. I'd thought it was the art, the crowd, the champagne. Now I saw the truth. It was him. How long? I asked, my voice barely audible. The room spun, the edges blurring like a bad dream. How long have you been lying to me? She didn't answer, just pressed her lips together, her eyes glistening now. Tears? Regret? Or just the fear of being caught? I didn't know anymore. I didn't know her. I grabbed my coat from the chair, the leather cool against my shaking hands. I need air, I muttered, heading for the door. Her voice followed me, sharp and desperate. Mark, wait. You can't just leave. But I could. I did. The front door slammed behind me, the sound echoing in the still night. The street was quiet, the air crisp with the promise of autumn. I walked, my footsteps heavy on the pavement, my mind a tangle of memories and doubts. The way she'd smiled at me on our wedding day, her hand warm in mine. The late nights we'd spent planning a future. Kids, a cabin by the lake, growing old together. Had it all been a lie? My phone buzzed in my pocket, and I pulled it out, half expecting her name. But it wasn't Sarah. It was a notification. A photo shared to a private group chat I hadn't checked in months. A friend from college, tagging me in a memory. I opened it, and my heart stopped. There, in a dimly lit bar, was Sarah. Her head tilted back, laughing, her hand on a man's arm. Ryan. The timestamp was 3 weeks ago. The caption read, "Old flames, new sparks." My vision blurred, not with tears but with rage. A white-hot fire that burned away the last of my denial. I kept walking, the phone heavy in my hand. The streetlights cast long shadows, stretching and twisting like the truth I'd refused to see. She'd been slipping away, piece by piece, and I'd let her. I'd trusted her, loved her, and she'd chosen him. Hours passed, or maybe minutes, I couldn't tell. My feet carried me to the park, to the bench where we'd carved our initials years ago, a naive promise of forever. I sat, the wood cold against my thighs, and stared at the stars. They were distant, untouchable, like the life I'd thought we had. My phone buzzed again. A text from Sarah. "I'm sorry. Please come home. We need to talk." I stared at the words, my thumb hovering over the screen. Part of me wanted to go back, to fight for her, to believe she could still be mine. But another part, the part that had heard her sneer, seen that photo, felt the weight of her betrayal, knew better. I stood, my decision made. The night was quiet, but inside me, a storm raged. I typed a single word in response, "No." Then I turned off my phone and walked into the dark, leaving behind the life I'd known, the woman I'd loved, and the man I'd been. The betrayal was a wound, raw and bleeding, but it was also a truth I couldn't unsee. And as the stars watched, silent and unyielding, I took my first step toward something new. Something unknown, but mine.